Started. So hey everyone, welcome on behalf of the chambers in Brainerd Lakes, Cross Lake, Nisswa, Cuyuna Lakes, Pequot Lakes, and Crow Wing County. I just wanted to welcome all of you and just say that we're very happy that you made some time to be with us today. We thought the governor's announcement was going to come at 2 o'clock, so we thought that the 3:30 time slot would be just perfect. It turns out that press conference, of course, was moved back, so we're multitasking, trying to take in, all the information. Got a little bit of a heads up, and I think it's fair to say that the news isn't what we were hoping or maybe what we were expecting. But right now, at this point within this COVID crisis, we're going to try to focus on the things that we can control. And that's really what the Lake Country Cares campaign is about. We're going to be talking about several elements of it. I'm going to hit on the government one just in a few minutes here, but this is really about the consumer. It's about our customer, and those are the things that we can control, our actions and our relationship with the customer. And this whole Lake Country Cares campaign is all about the customer. So before I get into it a little bit more, I'm going to turn it over to our local government partner, and that would be Tim Hool. He is the Crow Wing County Administrator. He's going to give us a few comments. I'm going to follow Tim up to the best of my ability, and then we'll hear from the other people on the screen. Aaron Houtzela from Stratelligent, and then a panel of local business owners, Missy Noring from Belle Chabot and Nisswa, Nick Miller from Three Cheers Hospitality, and Nick has the Prairie Bay, Sherwood Forest, and Iron Range Eatery restaurants, so we'll hear from him, and then also Paul Kirkman, who opened the new ice cream and retail store in Crosby called Victual. So you'll hear a little bit about what they're doing. We'll take some questions and comments at the end, and hopefully we'll have plenty of time to do that. But with that, Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you to kick us off. And you're muted, Tim.
You know, that's just going to keep happening, isn't it, during these things? Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you for joining us today. Lakes Country Cares is a collaborative effort between the area chambers of commerce, Crow Wing County and Crow Wing County Public Health, area hospitals, and it is trying to bridge this divide between trying to get our businesses reopened and trying to do it as safely as we can. I think Matt's right. It is about the customer, and it is about conveying that message of we care. And we care so much that we're going to even inconvenience ourselves. I know that there are probably those of you out there that would rather not have to do any of this. I think I would be one that would rather not have to do any of this. But the fact of the matter is, you go on social media and you do know that some of your customers are afraid. And the best way for us to get our economy to recover as far as it can and as fast as it can is to market our safety as our competitive advantage. I think about Lake County that sent out the unwelcome mat. They basically told visitors, don't come here. They told their seasonal folks who winter in Arizona, don't come here. The Brainerd Lakes area has a better way of doing this. And that's what Lake Country Cares is all about. I'm thrilled to hear some of the business plans that have been put together that I think will give us a competitive advantage, get your customers back in, help them to feel safe. It's about caring about each other enough to be inconvenienced a little.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tim. And I would just say that we are so fortunate to have a government partner like Crow Wing County that's really putting everything out there to help our area businesses. And you saw that with the Crow Wing County Board yesterday and their participation and leadership in this campaign. So Tim, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done working alongside our chambers and our businesses. So it is greatly appreciated.
And our pleasure.
So, yeah, well, thank you. And I did want to give you some kudos for that because I know how much time you've spent on this in the past 2 to 3 weeks. So I want to talk a little bit about what this campaign is about before we actually get into the guts and the creative elements of the campaign, the infrastructure on which it is built. But really, this is about one thing as it relates to business, and it's about economic recovery. That is our primary goal, economic recovery. We think that doing it this way, uh, we can do it faster and we can do it better than anywhere else in Minnesota. Nowhere in the state that I know of is this happening. What you're seeing, no one in the state is doing. And it's going to take working together. But to the extent that we're able to do that, that is how we're going to be able to do it at the speed we need to get our businesses back on their feet again. So it's about economic recovery, and it's about doing it fast. The next thing I want to talk about is this is about your customers, not the government. So this campaign is about customers. And I just want to say that for the past 2.5 months, I've been personally involved, and I know a lot of you have too, especially my chamber colleagues, but personally involved with COVID recovery. I've worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. We've all seen the economic devastation. There's no doubt about it that that's occurring, and it's impacted me deeply, and it impacts me every single day in different ways. Every week I talk to city officials, county government, state legislators. I've talked to the deed commissioner. I've talked to the governor, excuse me, on conference calls twice. I'm aware of the lawsuits. I'm aware of the city resolutions that we see. And I also know how this is affecting our Chamber of Commerce the same way that it's affecting your businesses. And through all of that, I still believe this is the right way to go. It's about focusing on what we can control, and that is our relationship with our customers. If you think about it, we need to focus on what made you successful. You're not successful because you beat the government as businesses. You're successful because you won over the customer. So this is about customers, this campaign that we'll be talking about called Lake Country Cares. Another thing that's about is tourists. And, if you see some of the recent polls that are national and state, somewhere between 50 to 70% of people report being very nervous about returning to businesses and public places. And I know that's probably a high number in the Brainerd Lakes area. We've seen the parking lots of Walmart and Costco and the grocery stores and the hardware stores and a lot of those businesses. It seems like our local residents is more courageous, or they're willing to go out there, and that's fine. I think that it's probably less than 50 to 70%. It might be even 25 or 30%, but even still, that's 1 out of every 3 or 1 out of every 4 customers that are approaching this with some hesitation. So this is about winning over our customers, but also our tourists. The metro residents have a way different view of this than we do. And I would just give you this as an example. I went to a kid's birthday party on Saturday in a Minneapolis neighborhood. First time I've been out of Brainerd in the last 2.5 months. The birthday party was held outside. There were 10 people and only 10 in that outdoor area, that front yard area. When our family came, my family is only 3 of us. When we came in, 3 people had to leave because they wanted to maintain that gathering of 10. If you remember on Saturday, it was cold and drizzly outside. No one was allowed in the house to use the bathroom. Half the people were wearing masks outdoors. There were hand sanitizer stations, and all of the chairs were spread out well beyond 6 feet. Now, I'm not saying that that is how everyone is approaching the situation down there, but I can tell you that was a big glimpse into a different reality for me. And those are the people that we're depending on to frequent the businesses up here. I know it's been very much kind of evolved into a political issue, but I always like to say credit cards aren't bipartisan, right? We want people to spend money. This is not a red or a blue issue. This is a green issue. And so it's really important that we communicate that safety message to tourists. So the other thing this is about is safety. And of course, we need to take the virus seriously. Everybody sees the reports, the number of people who have contracted it and the deaths. And so I think it is important that we take it seriously as businesses and we don't just do the minimum requirements and then proceed business as usual. I can tell you this as it relates to tourism. If the Brainerd Lakes area becomes a hotspot, so to speak, for virus cases, our business is gone and our tourism is gone. So it's all of our responsibilities to take this seriously and to prioritize safety. And then the last thing, and I think this is the most important thing, is this is about working together. You know, people don't visit the lakes area because of just one business or one lake or one tree. You know, this is a community, and people see this area as a business community. They come here because of the unique businesses that we have. So it's just not good enough for us just to do this one at a time, and some businesses participate and some don't. We need to present a united front, and like Tim says, this needs to be a competitive advantage, not only for you, but the entire Brainerd Lakes area. And the quicker that we can get people up here spending money, the quicker the nightmare ends for all of us. So it's focused on the customer, it's working together. I like this next slide the best, and that is our people that have endorsed the campaign and our coalition partners. And I'll give you a quick chance to take a look at the logos that you see here. All 5 area chambers, the Brainerd Lakes Area Economic Development Corporation for the business community. We're working together with government. The cities of Baxter and Brainerd have passed resolutions in support of the campaign, as did Crow Wing County, I mentioned early on. We have our government and philanthropic partners, the Brainerd Lakes Community Foundation, the Initiative Foundation, Sourcewell, that also represents education. And then I think most importantly, we have the backing of our local healthcare systems. So the Cuyuna Regional Medical Center, Essentia Health, and Lakewood Health System have all gotten behind this. So working together, all of what we bring to the table, plus the credibility of our healthcare systems, this is really powerful stuff, guys. And I think we can be confident moving forward, not only with these organizations, but with all of you under the banner of Lake Country Cares. So just a couple more slides, and I'm going to turn it over to Aaron for the eye candy and the fun stuff. I want to talk about preparedness plans and what's required of businesses as they reopen right now. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible because I do think it's fairly simple. So the first point is that you need one. Every business that reopens their state requires, them to have a COVID-19 preparedness plan. That's their terminology. You would use a state template and a checklist, which I'll get to in a minute. And what I would like to say, it's 1 + 1 = done. And we did this at the chamber, and I know Colleen can vouch for this, and all of you that spent some time with it. But it's about 1 hour to think about, 1 hour to write, and then it's done. The only 2 other requirements is that you train your employees on it and you post it publicly. And that's it. Now, for all of the ways that we could poke at the state for things that they didn't do right, and believe me, we could do that. That would be a whole other webinar, probably 2 or 3 hours. But one of the things I think they did do right is they didn't try to mandate a whole bunch of requirements for businesses they didn't know anything about. Every business is different, every sector is different, and what they're saying is you just need to have a plan. And you determine what that plan is going to be. Typically, I've seen them, they're about 4 pages long, but it's pretty big type and the template is very helpful. Next slide. This is what has to be in the plan. And again, you'd find this on the Lake Country Cares website and online as well, but it has to address these 5 or 6 things. They just added the 6th one when they added retail businesses to the mix here about a week ago. But the infection prevention measures are things like hand washing, respiratory etiquette. There's some other things in there. How to identify people who are sick and send the message that if you're sick, don't come to work. The cleaning and disinfecting, I think we're doing a great job in all of our businesses with that. Training employees, making sure there's supervision. And then the last part, we'll talk about this as a core tenet of the campaign, is customer communication. So those are the plan requirements that the state is putting out there. Again, the document is pretty simple, but it does take, an hour or 2 to put together. And I found throughout my career, there's a lot more thinking than writing. And then a couple more things here is, this would be our advice coming from the chamber. And that would be, do a few things really well, a few key things really well. This doesn't need to be the 54-point checklist for your business. You need to focus on the things that matter and do them very well. So for a lot of businesses, and you'll see some of the recommendations and our best safety practices, focus on those things, but also do them in a highly visual way. Make sure your customers can see what you're doing immediately when people walk in. That's going to inspire the confidence when they're in the store and also before they get there as they're researching you. Share what you're doing, again, with the customers. And then the Lake Country Cares campaign is all about uniting with regional businesses. And then the last slide, I just wanted to cover this really quickly on how it relates to planning. Number one is you can upload your plan through the Lake Country Cares website. When you do that, you will check a box that lets us know whether or not you'd like Crow Wing County health staff to review it. This is not mandatory. This is completely optional. Again, I thank the county for making their health staff available. They know these requirements. They're going to give a quick once over to your plan. They might make a suggestion or 2, and then they'll send it back to you. You can take those suggestions, or we can upload the final copy as is. We did this with the chamber plan and it worked out really well. I think they made one suggestion that we took and now it's uploaded to the website. The plan goes on lakecountrycares.com. That's kind of the main, boy, I'm losing my words here. It's the main focus of the website. That's where people can go to and view all the plans and really get a sense that the Brainerd Lakes area businesses are doing whatever it takes to reopen their doors safely. Aaron will get into the free communication materials just in a minute, and then we'll also talk about a care package that people could receive of promotional items and how you can order more. So with that, I've talked enough. Aaron, I'm going to hand it over to you and you can take us through the campaign.
Can you hear me, Matt?
I can.
Matt, can you hear me? Okay, so I'm going to assume everyone else can hear me too then. So, hey everybody, it's Aaron Houtzela talking, and we want to take you through the real visuals of what Matt and Tim have so well positioned up to this point. And this is kind of Lake Country Cares in action, if you will. And the whole underpinnings of the whole thing, which you've heard over and over again, is Safer Together. So from a communication point of view, and this will be quick, I promise it won't be painful, but this is kind of the positioning statement to the whole program. Lake Country Cares is a COVID-19 safety campaign designed to build trust among residents, visitors, and local businesses, all of us. It's our community promise to take care of each other by adopting easy and effective practices to prevent the spread of the virus. And as Matt said, easy and effective. What are those key things? Those key things that we can focus on that make a big difference in your business. And working together, we will lead the way as life resumes in Minnesota. And we just heard about it before we even came on this call. Life is going to resume in Minnesota. Things are continuing to dial up, as the governor has said. And we as Lake Country Cares want to be aligned with that and ahead of that through the work we're doing. And lastly, we've heard it, we'll say it again, We're safer together, all of us. So from a visual point of view, and you can see the logo on the bottom of every slide, but that's the identity to the whole campaign. It's called the logo, but it really becomes the visual of what this promise is of taking care of each other. We use the state of Minnesota because that's where we live. We live in the heart of Minnesota, so it worked well for this campaign. And then we just have the horizontal one as well, because as you'll see, there is many different things this logo will go on to continually build up of all of us taking care of each other. The big one being the website, which is live. It already is live. We knew we had to be slightly ahead of the curve on timeline and tools. So the website is live. You can look at it at any point. It will probably continue to evolve as the campaign evolves because it's kind of fluid. But that's how it works. It's also on social media, which in social media, it's growing. So the best way to grow it is to like it and share it. And, you know, use the hashtag Lake Country Cares and Safer Together. And all of that helps build the understanding, the awareness that this area is doing everything we can to work together for the safety of all. And then we're also getting into the actual visuals, which are, these are visuals that when they're printed, which will be very soon, we want to get them on businesses that are participating in Lake Country Cares. And as Lake Country Cares, these are the tenets of safety, the requests, the breathe safely, the walk safely, the touch safely. These are the things we're saying, and we're doing it not like the CDC, but it's coming from the CDC, but we're making it authentic to this area, to this region. We're using Paul and Paulette. You know, we're showing it. We're showing our red flannel. We're showing axes instead of just measurements. Because we're doing this, but we want to make it of our area so people feel comfortable and safe in our region. And again, the partner logos are on there to say, this is a regional movement. There's strength in numbers. And I've said along, it's like there's a lot of sticks in our bundle. And when I think about going somewhere, I want to go where I feel safe. You know, I want to know that people are aligned to something. And that's the same thing we hope to do with this. So as a business, Matt talked about that plan. We've also created, as Lake Country Cares, a Microsoft Word template where you can just take the highlights of your plan and paste it into this, print it. And then when you post it, it would look something like this. I guarantee every one of your businesses look different, so don't hold me accountable to exactly how the door looks. But we would love for the bigger poster that you'll be provided free of charge to be on the outside where we're safer together with those 3 core tenets. And then your personal plan inside is also highlighted alongside of that. With the goal being, wherever you go, whether it's Crosby, Brainerd, Cross Lake, Pequot, you see this unity of togetherness, of working together to make sure we're safe together. And then going back to the website to get to specific things that I think impact the business and that the businesses should be looking at. If you look up to what businesses are doing up here, it actually has, that's not the right slide. Matt, I went to the wrong slide. It has multiple pages underneath what businesses are doing. And the first one is review the plans. So all the plans are there. It allows every business to look at the business plans, because the one thing is, like, we don't need to reinvent a wheel either. There's basic best practices. But as a customer, is that tourist or that visitor or that seasonal resident, they can also see what's up, what's happening. And it gives that confidence. And that's what it's about, is confidence to move about the area and to be a customer again. And then as a business, we have a page on there about submitting your plan, where we've done everything we can to make it as simple as possible. And when I say we, that means the chamber, 5 of them, and that means the county really, really collaborating in a way I've never seen before, which is why this is even possible. But it's all there, so if you don't have one yet, you have every resource you need on that page to make it happen and submit it. We're trying to make it simple along the way. And then also another page that we just added today is the personal protective equipment, the PPE, not the PPP. The PPE for businesses, if you need to get masks or face shields or decals or hand sanitizer, here's a list of local companies that are doing that. So you don't have to try to go out and do this on your own, because it's no fun to try to create a new process in the middle of this. So we're trying to put those tools for you so that they're already ready. And down here, please note, if you're a business on this call, or you know a business on this call who does make more of this, we want to know. And that's why we have a form down below for you to fill it out, and that will go to the county, and we will be able to update the site as we go. Because we want this to be simple for businesses, not hard. And then there's also a page for planning resources, and a lot of these are actual, like Hospitality in Minnesota, the Department of Administration for RV Resorts. All of these things have already been created, and if you're a business within that industry, go to their sources. You don't have to create a wheel. You have to, collaborate within your own business industry, and there's a lot of information already there for you. So don't feel alone in this at all. And then for all of us, what we can all do, all businesses, all people, visitors, seasonal residents, and it'll go through the same information that you saw in the poster of the breathe safely, touch safely, and distance safely, walk safely. But it's, again, those three simple things that are recommendations. When you do one of them, it's good. When you do three of them, it's great. And we'll be safer together. And that's what it's all about. And then this slide that I showed you early, sorry about that, man. This slide goes to all of the, how do I call it? The DNR recommendations on how to best use our great outdoors, meaning the states. But our greatest asset right now in the Brainerd Lakes area is our outdoors. We are blessed with big skies, big water, green trees, everything. And we wanted to be able to provide anybody the information within a click. If you want to go hunting during this time, here's what the state recommends. Here's what they would request. And there's a lot of different stuff, but we didn't want people to have to go find it on their own. We wanted to provide them easy, quick links. And then these are the products that Matt refers to and the chambers have referred to as the care package. You're going to do that plan. You're going to submit that plan. That plan will be on the website, but that probably isn't enough. We still need to be able to provide additional products. And we have that ability in this case, thanks to Crow Wing Power and Brainerd General Rental, because they've provided funding to make it happen. But businesses will also have the opportunity to have a two-sided decal outside of their business. Walking in, you see Lake Country Cares. The other side, you see Safer Together. There's a website. So you consistently see this message wherever you go. And there's opportunity for buttons. If you want to have a simple message on people that are at the register, at the till, or wherever, they can have that as well. And that face mask, not everyone has a face mask. We wanted to be able to provide a solution for that. But again, not a face mask that scares people. It's a pretty fun face mask. And then you can argue over which color is cooler. And I like that. Personally, I want Blaze Orange. Matt, I don't know if you want Blaze Orange, but I like Blaze Orange a lot. And then face shields as well. That's an opportunity we have in our community because of our wonderful business community and manufacturers, that there's an ability to do face shields as well. And this one I just threw in there. It'll get designed better. So any design critics, I'll do a better job on this. But floor decals, because you have a business, we need to show social distancing. How do we get floor decals to people to help you do that? So you don't have to reinvent a wheel. And it all connects. It all comes together. And the point that has already been made, and this is my last slide, and I'll hand it back to Matt for our other chambers to chat, is that when you combine safety and commerce, that's what this is about. And that's Lake Country Cares. Matt, back to you.
All right. Well, thanks, Aaron. That was an excellent overview, and there's a few elements that I hadn't seen yet that I really like. So thanks a lot for putting that together. And again, just without belaboring any of this, this is the easy button for businesses. That's what we are aiming to create. We want to make it easy for you, and then working together, we're going to market this. So you're going to see it in a lot of places very soon, and a lot of media very soon. So with that, we have 3 businesses that we asked to share a little bit about what they're doing. And I am going to ask my colleague, Amanda McGregor from NISWA, to introduce our first presenter, Missy Noring.
Hey there, everybody. Thanks for being a part of this today. I'm not going to take up a lot of time because Misty is really the person that we want to hear from here. She has worked very hard to prepare Belle Chevaux Salon for reopening. In fact, she had a preparedness plan in place before the governor had coined that term. She's worked very hard with local salons to create a cohort and connect to salons across the country as well as the state to get resources from those who've been open and see how they're doing it. So she's an example of someone who's worked very hard to prepare and has a lot of information and insight to provide us. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Missy.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Matt, as well. This has been a pretty cool deal going through all of this with you guys. And, you know, so much of it is honestly just been really listening and paying attention to what's going on. I do have a little bit of an advantage in the industry as a cosmetologist because of the fact that I am a national educator for Paul Mitchell, which allows me to have the community of all of Paul Mitchell Corporate, which, you know, is a global company. So I am on Zoom meetings with salons that are in Georgia and California and everywhere else, and then finding out some of the stuff that they're doing and that they're trying to prepare, then, you know, that gives me that advantage to be able to come up with these types of plans. So some of the things that we've chosen to do within Belle Chevaux was, first of all, remove excess touchable surfaces for us to be able to not have to have so many things to sanitize in between guests being, or disinfect in between guests being here at the salon. We've also extended our hours and lessened the amount of stylists that are working all at one time. We have 7 of us that work here, 6 stylists and 1 receptionist. And, you know, it would be amazing if we could have 1 more stylist on, but I believe that Danny, that is our, you know, front desk coordinator, receptionist extraordinaire, we're really going to be needing her, especially at the very beginning of all of this with the amount of call-ins that we have. We will not be taking any walk-ins at all. Everything is going to be appointment only, which is fine. None of us are going to have time for walk-ins. Danny will be stopping people at the door. We are going to ask that people wait inside their vehicle to lessen the amount of people inside of the salon as well. So anybody that used to come a half hour early and drink coffee and hang out, we're going to ask that they stay outside instead. Luckily, we're in the beautiful part of Nisswa, trees and a lake around us. It's gorgeous here. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. Danny is going to check their temperature as they come in. Not only that, temp checks will happen to all of the staff before they start their shift for the day. We're going to have some questions for people like, have you been around anybody that's been sick in the last 14 days? Have you or a family member been sick, had a fever, flu-like symptoms, COVID symptoms in the last 14 days? And if anybody answers yes, we are going to have to reschedule them because we just can't risk anything. Temperature, as I understand, is 100.4. So anybody that's displaying a temperature will not be able to be serviced as well. And then, you know, we will be using a clean, brand new cape. 1 second. Is another, Zooms are fun except for when people jump in and interrupt you. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, hear me okay now?
Yes, yes,
Can you? Hello?
we can. Yep, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. Am I still there?
Yes.
Yeah? Matt's shaking his head. You can hear me? Okay, I can't hear you.
Mhm.
So some of the industry standards for us is that we, you know, we've always never been able to reuse a cape. So everybody gets a brand new cape, which we wash in hot water, which is also part of our industry standards for our laws and rules. Face masks are required. I just read with our new guidelines, the Board of Cosmetology came out. Masks will be required on the stylists, and masks will be required on our guests of the salon as well. They've also asked us to create a protocol for anybody that would be trying to refuse wearing a mask. If you refuse, you just don't get your hair done. So we refuse too, I guess. And then, you know, it's just about creating less touchable surfaces, honestly. Having the extra time to be able to sanitize in between. We're a salon that works at a high capacity all the time. And what we've actually learned is that our world in the salon industry is going to be a lot different, and that's okay. And that might be different in a lot of industries as well. Instead of getting as many people in as quickly as we can, we're going to focus more now on the actual service of all of it. So part of our service is a service of safety. And so we have the plexiglass shield at our desk. We have dividers in our shampoo room in between each one of the shampoo bowls, just to create more of that social distancing for everything. We no longer have our dryer chairs where you'd sit with a little treatment on your hair under a dryer. Instead, those are gone. And we have a mobile dryer unit that we'll bring over to the chair that you're sitting at. When we're done using it, we will wipe it all down, disinfect the whole entire thing. As I have the time and opportunity, because the board just put up all of our information, you know, there might be a little bit of editing and tweaking going on to our actual preparedness plan that we had submitted. So much of what it is I just wanted to be prepared. I did not want to have to go get all of this PPE last minute. Thankfully, they did let us know that we are allowed to do 25% capacity. So while we were doing the beginning of this Zoom, I've already been in contact with our fire chief to find out what is the legal capacity of Belle Chevaux. Because at first it was a little bit confused, and luckily in that little snippet I was allowed to listen to from the governor's speech was that it's the capacity of the building is my understanding, and not just like Belle Chevaux has 7 stylists, so we have to do it at 25% of that. So finding out what my legal fire standard capacity is of the building, and then we will be going with that to make sure that we are completely legal in everything that we're doing. The other thought process that I had also
Missy, let me interrupt you for one
that
second.
understanding.
Well, I
What's
wanted
that,
to,
Matt?
can you hear me, Missy? Can you hear me?
You can't hear me?
No, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
I can't hear you at all. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I will, you go ahead. I'm gonna text a question to you.
Can you hear me? You can? Am I supposed to keep talking? Yeah, okay. And then I lost my train of thought. Oh, so much of my thought behind all of this is the idea that no matter what, we are about the customers that come into our building. It's not a matter of what we think, it's about what it is that our customers think. And 50% of Belle Chevaux clientele has told me how they're very scared, that they have a lot of worries about all of it, but they have watched everything that we've been doing as a salon, and that they feel comfortable, and more comfortable so because I am taking this so seriously, to come in. Well, then I also have the 50% that doesn't care, that have been messaging me and telling me that they're gonna refuse to wear a mask and all of that. I need to look at 100% of my clientele that comes into the salon. And so by doing so, I need to take these things like a preparedness plan seriously. So I think Matt has a question. You guys might have to type it out because I did not hear Matt last time.
No, I don't know if you can hear me. That's exactly what I was going to
I can't hear
ask.
you
Is
at
why? Can
If
everybody
Amanda
else, if you
texts
can
it
hear me,
maybe,
can you
or
raise
Matt
your
text
hand?
it.
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. What I was going to ask her is exactly what she just answered, and why is she doing more than what's required? And I think that she hit that at the end there. But let's transition over to Nick Miller. And Nick, are you with us? I believe you are. Yep, there you are. Nick is one of the
I got
owners
you
of
now.
Okay, we're going to transition over to Nick real quick.
Perfect.
So, hey, Nick, you're the owner of Three Cheers Hospitality, or one of a couple owners. So it's just so for everybody that may not know, that's Prairie Bay, that's Sherwood Forest, that's Iron Rage Eatery, that's the Mad Hugger Cafe in Central Lakes College. This is the company that won the Lake Sprout Small Business of the Year award for excellence in what they're doing, as well as community service. So it's my honor to turn it over to Nick. Nick, what's up with you guys? How are you going to be preparing here going forward with the recent news?
Well, hi everybody, and thanks for having me on here. And yeah, I mean, it's we just got the news as everybody did, and it wasn't what we were hoping for, but it's what we got. And I'm a pretty optimistic guy, but there's a little less water in that glass today, so still over half, but a little less. You know, we've been planning and planning, just like everybody. Missy was well spoken, and a lot of the stuff she said are very similar for what we're doing with our business. And you know, I think I can go through. I'm gonna give everybody some examples of a few things we're gonna do differently, or at least where our heads are at, and what research we've done and what we're seeing. But I think mirroring what Missy was saying at the end and what Matt was asking is, I think the biggest challenge going forward here is going to be figure out that new normal and that space in which all of our customers want to be in. And again, I totally agree with this idea that half of my customer base thinks one thing and the other half thinks the other. And we're really trying hard to figure out how to make that messaging work, and to make sure everybody feels comfortable. But again, safety is going to be king. And we have to stay safe, and we have to do these things, and we're going to. So, you know, from the restaurant perspective, a few things. I mean, actually, I thought I was with the 2 o'clock news conference. I thought I'd be back at Prairie Bay. So the team there has been working really hard to make sure it was all ready so I could show it off to y'all. But, you know, if you could think of Prairie Bay's dining room, for instance, and if you haven't been to Prairie Bay, you will soon, I suppose. You know, the dining room itself, we've eliminated quite a few tables. Thankfully, at Prairie Bay, we have real estate. We've got that big back room. We've got the reading room. So as I spread out tables, I can just take that and show, you know, change them elsewhere. So 6 feet between each table is pretty reasonable. We've taken out about, in the main dining room and the bar, probably about 7 tables. The reading room, the book area at the end, which we remodeled while we've been closed, has a few, and then the bank room itself has a few. So that space, but it's not just about the space between tables. As you walk in there and try to look at it with an eye of somebody who's concerned. And I will say it's kind of eye-opening as a restaurant owner. You start thinking about those things, those touch points, where you'd be, you know, potentially exposing people to something. And then how is that in our business, and what changes do we make to make it safe? And so we're trying to figure out how to make paths in and out of dining rooms in which you don't have to get close to tables with people eating. You know, as you can think about any restaurant, you're just weaving your way in and out of all this stuff to get to certain areas. And so at Sherwood, for instance, we've got it all worked out to where there's a line to the bathroom, or there's a space in which you can get to those restrooms. You can get to the back deck. You can get to these areas without really crossing table paths and getting too close to anybody. So that's been important. You know, but in our industry, not just the spatial thing, it's all about, you know, the talk that Walt said today was the amount of time you're in a building and time you're in a restaurant. I mean, really, restaurants are built to be heated and air conditioned. They're not built for airflow and like open air and all that stuff, especially in Minnesota with the humidity. And so we're trying to figure out how to create less time in each building, so that you can come in, have a good experience, but still feel comfortable, and that you could do that in a reasonable amount of time. So, you know, eliminating menus. We're going to have QR codes, you know, those little digital codes. They'll actually be on the tables, like stickered onto the table. So you can just take a picture of that and pull up the menu. So we won't be printing. We'll offer a printed menu if you'd like one use. But we'll be able to, you'll be able to access all that stuff online. Ideally, and potentially for different businesses out there, our point of sales are working on trying to be able to allow you to order from your table in the restaurant without having to pay that point where you touch your conversation with the server, with the ordering, and then also with the payments at the end. You could pay from your phone sitting at your table. Now, I don't want to decrease the experience. I want to have experience with serving staff. I want to have that piece. That's why we're doing, like, these things are on the table. I mean, really? you know, I mean, they're there and we're going to try these different things. This was Lindar, by the way, Matt's suggestion yesterday when we were having that conversation. I called today and sure enough, I got them today. They worked with us and I got it figured out. So it was pretty cool, but it's going to be hard to figure out how to keep that experience. Cause that's why people go out. They don't go out to see these, but if I'm going to wear these, how can we make these feel more comfortable? So if we're going to wear masks, how can we make them more comfortable for people to see, you know, and eliminate some of those contact points. So things like, for instance, in the restaurant business, we call it pre-bussing. A server comes to your table and starts to clear things you're done with. Well, the more times I bring a server to your table who leans over your table to grab different things. So we're going to eliminate pre-bussing and just ask our tables to put everything at the end of the table and stack it up as nice as they can. And we'll try to come in one swoop, not two, you know, and eliminate those interaction points. So, you know, water service, another thing, it's hoping to eliminate or limit the amount of people who have interaction with people's beverages and people's food. But these are some of these things we're going to learn as we go. I mean, everybody has good plans and other states are open now. So we'll start to get some interesting stories and ideas from them. But for us, it's going to be a new experience, but we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm not super happy about only being open for patio dining, but you know, give it a couple hours and we'll have some good ideas and we'll figure it out. I mean, that's what we do up here in the Lakes area is we get a challenge and we solve it. I mean, we all are. I know everybody on these screens. I can see all people that are customers and that are business leaders, and we're just going to solve this problem like we solve every other one. So,
yeah. Hey, thank you, Nick. That's a great overview, and I know a lot of us that don't work in the restaurant business. It's a good insight into how you're thinking and what you're planning to do. So, thanks a lot. I'm going to ask my colleague Brielle to introduce Paul from Victual.
All right, great. Thank you, Matt. I'm Brielle, the Executive Director of the Cuyuna Lakes Chamber. I'd like to introduce the group to Paul Kirkman, owner of Victual in downtown Crosby. Victual is a new retail store that opened on Main Street last summer. It's artisan cheeses as well as its Rave Creamworks lactose-free ice cream. It's all the craze in Crosby. The store also offers specialty distilled liquors, dinnerware, and cocktail accessories. So if you haven't been there, I'd encourage you to check it out. Paul and his staff have set an excellent example to the Cuyuna Lakes business community on how to operate safely amid the pandemic. So Paul, can you give us some insight on how Victual is implementing safe breath, walk, and touch, as well as how Victual is marketing these to customers?
Absolutely. My name is Paul Kirkman, and we have been, I think, fairly fortunate. We are considered an essential business in the eyes of the state because we sell food products and we also have an off-sale liquor room. And it's interesting, as some of the first COVID cases were first coming to light in the United States, my spouse and I were in Seattle, Washington, visiting our daughter. And so as we were there, they had their first cases diagnosed and I believe their first death attributed to COVID-19. So upon my immediate return, I immediately sat down at the computer and started to work out some instructions for our staff. And this is pre-instruction from any state or federal government in terms of guidelines in terms of how to operate a business. And so the first things that I mentioned to my employees was that if you are feeling ill or have symptoms or fever or coughing or shortness of breath, any of the standard symptoms, that they remove themselves from the workplace. So that was communicated long before it became necessary to do so. As Minnesota went into a shelter-in-place order, we of course continue to be open for business. And interestingly enough, our foot traffic dropped fairly considerably, which is of course distressing. But the remarkable thing is that our average sale literally skyrocketed so that we were net neutral or actually up from a revenue standpoint. So quite frankly, we were fairly relieved that the bottom didn't drop out of the marketplace. How we communicate with our customers. We've actually purposely chosen to be fairly subtle, and we're following the state's lead. When the governor started doing restrictions or allowing businesses such as retail to start to open up, we took some cues from him. So at some point in time, we just quietly, as employees, started wearing masks in the store. And then at another point in time, we put up signage on the door saying that masks are encouraged by our customers. We're encouraging our customers to wear masks, that we adhere to social distancing, and that we have the right to limit the number of people in the store. And then at another point in time, we just put out little X's on the floor. And this is primarily in front of our cash registers, in front of our ice cream case, and in front of our artisan cheese case, so that people could register cognizantly where they were in relationship to other people. And we've tried to be fairly subtle about it because we understand that there are two kinds of points of view. And we want to let the people know that are concerned that we are taking steps to provide a clean, safe environment, or at least as safe as we can possibly be. One of the interesting things that I reflect back on is the fact that we are a business that handles food. So we're licensed as a food handler by the State Department of Agriculture. And so one of our key tenets all throughout the entire time we've been in operation is the fact that we are constantly washing our hands. We are gloved when we handle food, and we sanitize, wipe down, sanitize on a regular basis. So the reality is that our day-to-day really didn't change that much. Yes, we paid a little bit more attention to door handles and frequently touched surfaces when it comes to sanitation. And that includes cash registers and refrigerator doors, and even the doors that are the entrances and exits to our store. So of course we're cognizant of that. But the reality is that the day-to-day operations didn't change dramatically. And so it didn't feel unusual for us until the day that we started wearing masks, and then it took a few days for that to start to feel kind of like second nature. I do miss seeing some of the facial expressions and interactions with the customers, but it's something that I think you easily adapt to. In the coming days, our next step is to put up plexiglass shields in front of the cash registers, adding one additional line of defense between us and our customers. If any of you are worried about whether or not people are going to come back, if they're going to find you, if they're going to frequent your store, my answer is a resounding yes. Weekend business since ice has been off the lakes. So I'm going to call that since the last weekend in April in particular, our weekend business is near normal in terms of foot traffic, and we were reaching August 2019 levels of revenue during the weekends, which I think is absolutely remarkable. We have taken the steps to remind customers verbally that for the comfort of the other customers in the store, we request that they give them a little bit additional space. And we have had customers wait outside if we have a house that really can't accommodate any more customers without interfering with social distancing guidelines. So I think through this all, we are mightily encouraged about how this summer is going to turn out. And I've been asked many times, you know, are we going to get back to normal? And we talk about, well, yes, but it's a new normal. But in reality, from what I'm finding out, the new normal feels remarkably like the old normal. So I want to add those words of encouragement and hope to all of you that are waiting to open up your businesses. I think you're going to be warmly received by the customer base. Just as has kind of been mentioned by Matt in his story about going down to the Twin Cities, we do see a difference in customers that are Twin Cities based versus the locals in the area. We of course have some locals that wear their masks, but by and large, the local clientele tends to be mask free, despite the fact that we have a sign on our door encouraging the customers to wear masks. What we're finding quite frequently is that the customers that are visiting us from the Twin Cities come in with masks, or if they don't have them in their hand, when they see the sign on the door, they return back to the car to pick up their masks. So I think you're going to see all kinds of customers and situations, and I think encouragement to do the right thing is the motto that we have been following. I guess that's probably it for me. If somebody has any questions, of course, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. That's great information, especially coming from a business that has been open through all of this and what you're seeing with the two types of customers and the two different locations. So that's excellent information. I know we're right at time right now, but I do want to have the opportunity for people to ask questions or comment on this, even if we're able to do it in another 5 minutes or so. So if you have that, if you wouldn't mind just letting me know in chat that you'd like to ask something, and then I'll just call on you since we still have 80 people on the line. So if anyone has anything, you just type it in. Jeff Wigg, you had something. I'll turn the floor over to you with the Initiative Foundation, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Matt, and thank you everyone who's on the call today. Many of you know me. I'm Jeff Wigg. I'm the Vice President for Entrepreneurship at the Initiative Foundation and the proud son of a Brainerd small business owner, by the way. For the first 8 weeks of this, at the Initiative Foundation, we were very focused on emergency measures and providing emergency support to small business. And I'm really happy to say we provided financial relief to at least, I think, 210 or 211 Central Minnesota small businesses so far, and are trying to keep that trend going. But in recent days, we've really turned our attention toward how can we support a safe and productive relaunch of our small business community as we reemerge from this. And with that in mind, just 45 minutes ago, my colleague Don Hickman just let me know that the Initiative Foundation has approved a $10,000 unrestricted grant to the Lake Country Cares campaign and support. And as a lifelong Brainerd resident, I just want to commend the Chambers and Crow Wing County government and the Brainerd Lakes area business community for diving in on this and for embracing this really proactive program. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I'm glad I called on you first. That's excellent. Thank you so much. I know the Initiative. I know the Initiative Foundation well because I worked there for 16 years, and I know how responsive you are. And I'll tell you what, we'll make that money go a long way. So thank you.
And Matt, despite the fact that we know you well, we still did the grant anyway.
That's greatly appreciated. Is there anyone else that we can answer a question, or if you have a comment of any sort, anything that you'd like the group to know, or any comments on the campaign, any suggestions or ideas, we'd love to hear as well.
Matt, this is Carl.
Yeah.
Just to thank you, Initiative Foundation. And I was in contact with Don to find out that they did provide support. And our Brainerd Lakes Area Community Foundation Grants Committee meets tomorrow morning, but I've had some preliminary conversations with folks, and I'm sure we're going to get on board too at some level to support the program. So we're looking forward to that. And again, I want to echo what Jeff talked about with the collaboration and everything. It's been awesome. So.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Carl. I didn't realize this was going to end like Oprah Winfrey. But I certainly do appreciate all the support from everybody. We can't do this. All this stuff costs money, and we've been piecing it together with duct tape and everything else. So it's good to hear that we'll have a little bit of resources to invest going into the future. Just gonna make it stronger. Okay, well, thanks a lot, everybody. I don't want to keep you from the beautiful evening. I appreciate all your time and attention. One of the things that I would just strongly encourage everybody to do, and this is the best way to get started, this is really the only way, and this is the only thing that we can do right now for those businesses that can't be open, is to be proactive, upload that COVID-19 preparedness plan. It's going to take you about 2 hours. I don't like filling out forms either, but it's about an hour to think about, an hour to write. You upload it through lakecountrycares.com. We'll get it posted on the website. And then as these materials and things become available, we're placing orders and doing some things now. There's a lot of donations coming in, as you heard, that's going to speed up the process. We're going to get you all those materials, the posters, the promotional materials, and we'll also be able to start advertising the campaign through all of our traditional and non-traditional media. But our best ways to spread the message is through your networks and channels. So thanks a lot. I do believe this is the right way to go, and the only way that it works is if we do it together. So if you have any questions or concerns whatsoever, call your local chambers, call me personally, and let's get you going and make this campaign successful. We can lead the way in the Brainerd Lakes area. Nobody is doing what we're doing. So with that, have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for spending an hour with us and learning about the Lake Country Cares campaign. See you later.